everybody, Barbara Ronconi-Smith here today with our weekly appointment Q&A with Barbara. And based on our requests, today we're going to discuss long COVID and long haulers. What is it? Why does it happen? And how can we reverse it? So if you or anybody you know is dealing with the post symptoms of COVID, this is the video that you want to share. So what is long COVID? You may be wondering whether what you're feeling right now, some of the symptoms you're feeling may be due to long COVID, or if they may be something completely different. So in some cases, the symptoms associated with the COVID disease may be lingering even after the acute phase of the disease is passed and you even tested negative, right? This is what is commonly now referred to as long COVID or long haul COVID, and those who are suffering from these symptoms are called long haulers. So what are some of the symptoms? Because you may be wondering what the symptoms I'm feeling right now, are these due to COVID, still due to COVID, or are they due to something else? Should I be looking elsewhere? Well, some of the most typical symptoms we see in the long COVID sufferers are chronic fatigue syndrome, loss of taste and smell that, it's protracted for months. And sometimes it's not even the loss of the taste and the smell, it's just the altered sense of taste and smell, meaning things don't taste the same as they used to anymore. Body aches, chest pain, as we said, fatigue, skin infection, skin rashes, anxiety, depression, hair loss. Hair loss is a common one too. Inflammation, general inflammation, anxiety, insomnia, heart palpitation. So basically there's a host of symptoms, and usually they're not all at once in the same person, thank God, that can be associated with the post-COVID syndrome. I will call it more of a post-COVID syndrome. Personally, we're going to go more in depth into what I think, what is happening, and why we're experiencing all the symptoms. And some of you have been asking me, I had COVID 6 months ago and I was fine for 6 months, and then I'm starting to have chest pain again, or, like congestion. Is this still COVID? Is it possible? Because I was fine and now I'm no longer fine. So in order to understand how to reverse long COVID, we need to understand what long COVID is, but most importantly, we need to understand what COVID is. And I also would like to make some differentiation between people who have got the infection without artificial immunization, people who got the infection and then got artificial immunization, and vice versa, people who first got vaccinated and then got COVID, because the response of the body is different. Why? Well, first of all the symptoms I just listed to you, those are all immune responses. Yes, you may feel it in your heart, you may feel it in your bones, you may be losing hair, you may have lost a sense of taste and smell, but those are all immune responses, are modulated by your immune response. Okay, so obviously in our conversation, like in all viral conversations, the immune response has a major role, and we need to understand how our immune system works in order to understand A, what's happening to you right now, and B, what to do about it. So how does our immune system work? Well, traditionally, let's say we know the person is not being artificially immunized, the body will come in contact with the virus and it will start a non-specific immune response. Our natural immunity, the one we were born with and we developed throughout our life, it's a non-specific immune response. What does that mean? It means that although the body recognizes that there's new pathogen coming in and it's trying to do its work to, try to try to stop replication and whatnot, it is mounting a non-specific response. That means that it's not specifically only looking for that virus, but it is activating all the first responders, all the T cells, the lymphatic system in this case, to try to slow down this, but it's also, as I said, non-specific. So it's going to basically try to eliminate everything that doesn't belong. What does that mean? That means that, as I always and often say to my clients, COVID and any other virus does not find you virgin, meaning that the way your terrain is before you get COVID is going to have everything to do with the way you fare through COVID and the way you go about after COVID. Okay, so if you have viruses, like most of us do, right? But some of us more pronounced than others. If you have viruses, bacteria, any type of pathogenic presence in you, your body is going to try to eliminate that because it knows your immune system. It knows that it doesn't belong. So COVID, because it's a novel virus, it's going to mount a inadequate, I would say, a very adequate immune response. It's a strong immune response versus, opportunistic viruses like EBV and herpes, which are still in your body regularly, but they are on a low grade. So the immune system doesn't mount a very strong immune response towards those viruses, but it will do so against COVID, okay? So, and then that will lead us to the opportunities of COVID that I wrote in my 54 pages manual. So, we were talking about the person that is not being vaccinated against COVID, and it gets in contact with the virus. So the body will mount a non-specific immune response and will try to get rid of the virus. But as it does that, we'll also try to get rid to, as I said, of opportunistic viruses that may be in your body, pathogens, fungi, mold, metals, whatever it is that it doesn't belong. Because of the strong immune response that COVID elicits, then this is the opportunity to get rid of a bunch of other things, right? Now, separate scenario, different scenario. We have someone who has been, has got COVID, and then afterwards is going to go and get immunized, artificially immunized. Now, why is this distinction important? Because in the first instance, your body is going to mount an immune response, right? Never been vaccinated before against COVID, meets this new virus, and it's going to mount a new response. So the immune system is going to do whatever it's supposed to do. But then you're going to get the artificial immunization. And those of you, again, there's no judgment here, and there's no conversation about whether people should get vaccinated or not. This is just a simple, as a matter of fact, the options that we have when I get patients with, a long COVID situation. I always have to ask, were you immunized? Were you immunized before you got COVID and after you got COVID? These are important information that you need to know. So once you get immunized after you get COVID, though, that artificial immunization is a specific one versus the natural immunization that is a non-specific. So the specific immunization of the vaccine somewhat overrides and hijacks the natural process of even the natural antibodies. The way the body produces antibody. There are this kind of a sentinels there to kind of make sure that they stay alert, on a state of alert. Just something like that should come around again, right? So what I find in my practice, the people who got COVID naturally without any type of immunization, if they are exposed again to COVID, let's say a few months down the road, a year later, the chances of contracting COVID is very low versus those who got COVID and then got vaccinated, or those who got vaccinated this period. Meaning the antibodies period lasts, it's a shorter lifespan for those antibodies for people who got vaccinated. That's why all these boosters, because it is shown that they don't last, the antibodies don't last that long, in people that have been artificially immunized. And again, for those of you who are just joining us right now, this is not a conversation on whether you should get vaccinated or not at all, but this is a conversation about why you may be going through some long COVID type of symptoms. Then we have the third case in which people get immunized and then get COVID. They seem clinically to be faring better than those who first get COVID and then get vaccinated afterwards. Why? Because the immune system, in the case in which people first get COVID and then get the artificial immunization, is going to confuse the immune system. The immune system was already exposed to the virus and was mounting an appropriate response the way the body was designed. And so then afterwards, the artificial immunization is going to create confusion, because there's a natural immunization that is a non-specific, then you put in an artificial immunization that is very specific, and at times it's going to clash. And so it's going to confuse the immune system. Since I told you at the beginning that the symptoms of long COVID are an immune system issue, as we're saying, I see people in my practice and in general talking to other doctors and practitioners, people who got vaccinated after getting COVID faring a little bit worse when they get their, in terms of long COVID symptoms. Okay, simply because there's this kind of a clash in the immune system response. Now, what is long COVID? So I said this before, and I'm going to say this again. Long COVID, given all the symptoms I gave you, and given the fact that you understand that those symptoms are an immune response, long COVID is nothing else but a failed detox attempt. Why? As I was mentioning to you, the moment your body enters in contact with the virus, it's going to start mounting an immune response. An immune response is a detox effort. What do I mean by this? Meaning that your body will mount an immune response to try to eliminate this virus, right? So every time we're talking elimination, we're talking detoxification. We're talking about the body realizing that something does not belong, and so it's trying to push it out. So COVID and all the other viruses fall under the category of toxins, right? Now, a failed detox attempt is what COVID is. But not just COVID. A lot of the symptoms that you may be dealing with, even before COVID, are the result of a failed detox attempt. Because make no mistake, your body is constantly alert. Even if you're experiencing symptoms, your body is not broken. Your body is working exactly the way it's supposed to. And the pain you're feeling is the body giving you that signal that is doing something, but is not put in the position of resolving the issue. So with long COVID, as I define it, a failed detox attempt, your body is stuck in a gear, meaning it's not able to complete the full detox process. It's gonna get stuck and goes back. So it's like a wheel, a car wheel that is like spinning in the snow, but it's going nowhere. So once we understand this, then we understand also what to do to alter this process, right? So if you followed me up to now, you realize that when you encounter COVID, your body will mount a very strong immune response. Now, if you were vaccinated or not, this is going to make a difference in the way your body's immune system is going to have ability to respond, whether in a non-specific way, which is the way we were designed, versus a specific artificial immune response. And especially, as I said at the beginning, when there's been already a natural immunity mounting because you have contracted COVID, and then you inject something artificially, then that could create some issues on immune system level, right? So the immune system is going to try to detox. That's what's happening to you when you have COVID. All the symptoms from body aches to fever to runny nose, it's nothing else but a decongestant detox process. The body's trying to eliminate. Now, as I said at the beginning, COVID does not find you virgin. That means that if your lymphatic system is impacted, and remember, your lymphatic system is the sewage system of the body. So these cells that we're trying to kill, the viral cells that we're trying to kill, they have to be escorted out through the lymphatic system, right? So if your lymphatic system is congested when you contract COVID, then you're going to have a little bit more of a harder time to eliminate this toxicity, right? But also, think about it. As I said at the beginning, the body is trying to eliminate everything. So we call this cofactors. And some people have talked about, an acute reactivation of EBV, shingles, or other type of viruses. Some people Lyme after COVID. But why? Because as we face COVID, as I said, the immune system mounts a very strong response. And that is going to try to attract, basically almost like magnets, all these bacteria and pathogens that do not belong. So this is what I call the opportunity of COVID, because we have an amazing opportunity during COVID to really rid our body of stuff that was pre-existing before COVID. And I want to repeat this because I've proven this with myself and my clients, my husband included. I felt the best I ever felt after COVID. Why? Because I approached it the way I'm telling you. And I've been telling you the way I wrote it in my manual that you can find on my website, barbararonconi-smith.com, under programs. I wrote a 54-page manual because COVID is not that simple. COVID is not just get these 5 supplements, 10 supplements, and then you're good to go. You have to understand the phases of COVID. You have to understand how the body detoxes, how the immune system responds. And you have to basically go with the body and favor the work of the body if you truly want to use COVID, not to end up with long COVID, but to use COVID as the opportunity to help you get rid of some previous toxicity that your body was still, harboring and wasn't able to eliminate, right? So long COVID, A failed detox attempt, the body is stuck in a gear, is not completing the detox process. So if, let's say you had Lyme, if you were harboring EBV, shingles, other herpetic or opportunistic viruses, mold, the body, some people call it reactivation, but what is it? It's really a detox process. So the body is going to try to move this stuff out of the body, and as it does so, you will feel it. So if it's trying to move a big chunk of dead cells or pathogenic cells, you will feel it. You will feel feverish. You will feel with headaches, with congestion. If you have bacteria like staph and strep, and you have them here, for instance, it's going to reactivate some sinus congestion. If you suffer with UTI, so you have your strep, you have it in your bladder, then it might reactivate a UTI. And if you are watching and you've had UTI symptoms during COVID, it's perfectly normal. Why? Because your body is activating this immune response that is trying, just like a river, to take everything in the current. Now, this is great, and as I said, is the opportunity if you are as clean as possible. Your lymphatic system, your elimination pathways are open, and so the body can take advantage of this strong immune response. But if your immune system, if your lymphatic system is congested and your elimination pathways are congested as well, then you're going to have a harder time, because the body is still going to mount an immune response, a strong immune response. But this toxicity that is trying to move is going nowhere. So instead of going out, it's going to recirculate. Welcome to long COVID. So people, a lot of the symptoms that you feel during long COVID are due to pre-existing conditions that you had in you, and now they're being reactivated simply because the immune system wanted to take them out, but it didn't succeed. So it got stuck. It did not complete the full detox process. Why this is important, you guys? Because this changes everything. The moment we start looking at COVID as a detox process and long COVID as a failed detox attempt, then we have to go back to, the basics. How do we detox? How do we support the body in its natural detox process? Meaning we don't detox, it's our body knows how to do that, right? And the other important factor is, if we understand that this is a detox process, maybe the solution is not to go in with heavy antivirals, but the solution is to support the detoxification process. So what we need to detoxify, we need antioxidant, we need hyperhydration, because, right? I mean, it's basic, you guys. When you have a fever, remember when you were little, what did the doctor say? Stay home, drink liquid, stay light, right? So he didn't tell you to go out and have a steak. He didn't tell you to go have a beer. He told you to drink liquids. Why? Why did the doctor used to tell us to go drink liquids, tea and broth when we were sick? Because this is supporting the body's ability to eliminate that virus. The same happens with COVID. So hydration is key. But hydration to support the body's process, right? So hydration, not just drinking water, has to be deeper than that. So that's why juicing becomes essential during COVID and COVID recovery, because it's hydration to the max. It's not just hydration. Hydration is also nourishment for the body. All the phytochemicals and nutrients that you get into a juice multiply, because, right, when you juice oranges, you juice 3-4 oranges. When you eat an orange, probably the whole orange, you eat one, right? So right now, we need the most input with the least output, meaning we need to get as much nourishment as possible. And by this, I don't mean quantity. I don't mean go have a big meal. I'm saying maximize your intake of nutrients and vitamins and minerals through juicing, for instance, and minimize to the max your energy expenditure. Why? Because you want to keep your body free to do and reset what it needs to reset, that knows exactly what to do. You don't have to think about it. The body knows. And you want to minimize the effort that it has to, for instance, do to digest a meal. That's why we don't do fat. We don't do high proteins. We truly, during COVID, when I personally got COVID, I went into a juice fasting. High antimicrobial and antiparasitic and antiviral fruit like pineapple, for instance, garlic, all the things that could support my body. But I wasn't eating. I was just juicing. Now, this is not a recipe, because I'm not giving out recipes here for anybody to treat any COVID. I would love for you, if you are dealing and you're serious about overcoming this, since each one of you is different, to book an appointment so that we can see your specific cases. But in general, I will tell you what I did for COVID. I went into juice fasting. It lasted for 6 days. And as I said, day 10, it was the best. Since day 10 on, it was the best that I felt in many, many years. Because I know that with COVID, I was eliminating more than just COVID through supporting the body in that process, right? So if after 2-3 days you start feeling better and you go back to having heavy meals, you're you're sucking energy from the process. Instead, by staying light, high fruit, raw juices, you are supporting the detoxification process. Also, the type of supplements you take to support yourself, they have to change throughout COVID based on the different phases of COVID. So whether you are dealing currently with long COVID symptoms or not, this is important because chances are that in the future you might get infected again. Okay? Usually the second infection is not as bad as the first one because the body naturally has already encountered this virus and so is already prepared, it's been briefed. However, if you are, for instance, I got people telling me, Barbara, the second time was worse for me. But it's not, we need to understand the case, right? So this person was experiencing symptoms. Between the 2 COVID infection, she had what we possibly can define as a long COVID, or she had some new symptoms that she never experienced before. So that was telling us already that the first infection was not completed. The detox process from the first infection was not completed. So she was kind of stuck in a gear. When she gets infected a second time, he or she gets infected a second time, the body's trying to basically pick up from where it left, right? So the cascade of events, of symptoms, it's not determined by the type of COVID that she got, the type of because some people say, well, maybe this version is harder than others. No, it's the way this version finds you. And so if you, in your first COVID infection, are brought to the surface a lot of toxicity, and if you watch my videos, you know what I mean by toxicity. Viruses, pathogens, mold, chemicals, environmental toxins. So if you bring to the surface these toxins, but you're not effectively and efficiently eliminating it, then you get stuck in that process, right? You become symptomatic. And then when COVID finds you again, it finds you with this to the surface. Whereas before it was kind of, stored so that the body will protect us basically, right? So, but COVID never finds you virgin. Remember that. So what COVID is a mirror or whatever is going on inside of your body when COVID finds you. So with that in mind, if you are experiencing long COVID symptoms, you know that you have issues detoxifying. Whether it was too much toxicity that already was present in your body on top of that probably suppressed the immune system, and then COVID was able to, to proliferate. And for sure is a sign that your detox pathways are not working properly, that your detox pathways are congested. And just in parentheses, a very quick reminder that the first responders, the T cells, that are the ones that are supposed to kind of protect us as the body, the virus enters us, are residing in the lymphatic system. So you can imagine the importance of this very underestimated liquid system in the body, fluid system in the body, because part of your immune system is in your lymphatic system. So if your lymphatic system is congested, if your elimination pathways are congested, that means they're bringing back toxicity that needs to recirculate, the liver needs to filter one more time, then you are really playing with fire in that process, right? So if that's lymphatic system is congested, if your elimination pathways are congested, when you get COVID the second time, it's going to find you at that level where stuff is not going out. And in fact, we could have used the first infection as to mount a appropriate response and get rid of not just COVID, as I said before, but many other things. But instead, we're now stuck in that gear and we have, more stuff that we brought to the surface that we need to deal with. So your second COVID infection will start from where you left. But this is again another opportunity, right? If we understand what I'm talking to you about, I'm basically giving you the keys to your freedom, to your health freedom, to your medical freedom. If you understand that COVID is a detox attempt, the long COVID is a failed detox attempt, with the second infection, use it to to support your body in elimination, in detoxification. So do all the things that are needed to do, not to kill a virus, because the virus is not a problem, it's just a messenger. Do everything you need to do to support your elimination pathways and your detox pathway so that the body can take care of the virus. Guys, in the past 3 years, they've mounted a war against the bug. This is not just worrisome, but it's also confusing and very causes divisiveness, because now it's a fear mongering situation that also pushes people to be afraid. I mean, not just of COVID. And I see, we own a school, I see what parents do and say and things, and people are becoming obsessed with germs. There's this germophobia, and it's really taking us away from the way nature intended it and nature created us. So we need to drop this fear and understand our problem is not the germ, is not the pathogen. Our problem, if you really want to find one, is the terrain, the way the pathogens find us, in this case COVID, find us when it interacts with us. So that is what you need to work on. And as I said, it's a major distinction, because you're not going to go after COVID with antivirals. You're going to go after it depending on the different phases. As I said, please do check out my manual on my website. Depending on the phase that is happening inside of your body, the phase of the virus, you go with specific supplements and herbs to not kill anything, to support simply that phase. You're basically are giving your immune system a push. And that brings me to another point. During COVID, all I heard is to boost this immune system. You guys, the immune system does not need boosting. Okay? The immune system needs to automodulate. What does that mean? It means that it doesn't need to mount a disproportionate immune response. You've heard of cytokine storms, right? And that is a problem. When the body mounts a response that is too much, instead you want your immune system to automodulate, meaning to mount an appropriate response, not too much, not too little. So imagine people with already pre-existing autoimmune conditions, and I may be wrong, but watch me when I say this. In a little bit, long COVID will be listed under autoimmune condition. But the good news of this is that we already know what to do with this. If any of you have done my autoimmunity program, you know that you have no chance, that you stand a great chance not to ever get long COVID. Why? Because now you know what to do with autoimmunity. So if you are watching now, if you have already pre-existing autoimmune label that have been slapped on you, then get in touch with me. Consider joining my autoimmunity program, because you don't have to succumb to this and to the strategy that misinformed medical doctors are suggesting, right? Because what it is taught in medical school is that autoimmunity cannot be cured, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Even someone like me with no medical degree was able to reverse it personally and with my clients. So now, if we take long COVID under the umbrella of autoimmunity, why? Because all the symptoms I listed to you are immune response. And as I said, it's a failed attempt at detoxification. Then we know what to do with COVID, and we know how to, with long COVID, we know how to put the body in the best position to eliminate toxicity. As I said, very different strategy. You don't go after the virus, you go after your elimination pathways, after your lymphatic system, making sure that you put your body in the position of eliminating. And then once those pathways are open, then of course there's no COVID symptoms. That is why me and a lot of other clients of mine have felt the best after COVID. So this is a chance for you too. You have this possibility. You don't have to fear COVID. You don't have to fear long COVID. And if you are dealing with some of this COVID symptom, long COVID symptom, then the best thing you can do is to go back to square one and understand that what you need right now is to put your body in the position of detoxifying. It's very simple, and not to undermine or underestimate what you're feeling. What I'm trying to give you here is hope that we know what to do with it. And once you learn it, then you know what to do with it, you own it, and then you can go out and even teach people how to do that, because we need that, because doctors are still stuck in their we need a drug per symptom type of situation, but that is further exacerbating the process, because they're just suppressing the immune system, which is the last thing you want. And again, in those cases in which they boost and boost and boost this immune system, it is also doing a disservice, because what we want is, first of all, to leave the body do the work without interjecting with all this different from outside, meaning sources of boosting this immune system. What boosts the immune system is eliminating toxicity from the body. So if you open elimination pathways, the body knows that these viruses don't belong. The body knows that these pathogens, these bacteria don't belong, and will eliminate them. But if we get in the way and we get all congested and constipated, then it's going to be a problem for the body to eliminate. Okay? So we're not teaching here the body that COVID is not a good thing. The body knows. That's why you feel all this pain. What we need to do is to open elimination pathways so that COVID can go. And again, whether you're experiencing long COVID right now, or you might get infected the second time and you feel like the second time is worse, just pick it to where you left. So that means maximum input in terms of juicing, hydration. There are some therapies that I cover in my manual, the 54-page manual about COVID, that covers also long COVID. And I go in depth into those. But again, hydration, hyperhydration, it's important. Why? Because it flushes out toxicity. Antioxidant, why? Because it supports your elimination pathway, your elimination process, your detoxification process. And last but not least, if you know that you have metals issues, if you know that you have mold issues, if you know that you have Lyme bacteria and whatnot, make sure that you also use food and or herbs that support the binding of this to be safely escorted once you know that your elimination pathways are open. I mean, never like in the case of COVID and long COVID, the attention on the lymphatic system needed to be paid, because as I said, it resides in the lymphatic system, resides your immune system. The T cells, they're going to make a difference between you contracting COVID and you not contracting COVID anymore. And again, make no mistake, you not having symptoms does not mean that you don't have COVID. Most likely, you're not going to get tested. So you might, though, still have encountered COVID again, but you are not symptomatic because your immune system is doing the work. And maybe did the work the first time. So you were able to clear your lymphatic system, clear your elimination pathway. So, I mean, right now, everybody's sick. We haven't got it for the second time yet. I am not afraid one way or another, but I'm pretty sure that I did come in contact with COVID again. And I'm saying in close proximity. So I haven't gotten sick again because I feel that my body is doing the work, and it's done the work the first time. We completed the detox process. We dumped a bunch of toxicity so that now my immune system can fare better. Not to say that I'm never going to get it again, right? It's like the cold, it's like the flu, the seasonal flu. Some years you get it, some years you don't get it. Why? Because it all depends not on the strain, not on the different mutated strain, but on how your body is, the terrain. So if you are experiencing long COVID symptoms right now, my advice is to get treated as a detox issue and go into a detox. Because if you go into a detox, lymphatic reset, you will see how the 6 weeks will change everything for you. We're basically picking up from where we left. We're going to allow the body to do the work by asking the least amount of energy to process. And we're going to support it through the different phases. We're going to support it with supplements and herbs that go based, on the phases of the detox. Because detox is not just like COVID. It's not something that happens on a constant stream. I'm detoxing. The body detoxes in phases. And again, when you have COVID and even long COVID, the body is trying to mount a response and pull the different layers of toxicity, because you have different kind of toxicity inside of you. So the body is trying to pull all of it. And so we have to go with the waves and the phases of the detox process and the way the body was designed. Now, it's important that you support your body with antioxidants, again, to support the detox process. Forget about antivirals. It's important that you support your body with some minerals, because if you're experiencing long COVID right now, the chances are that you're going to be very acidic. Why? Because there's toxicity trapped in the body that is not leaving, right? Obviously, if you've been following what I said so far, you are stuck. Your detox, your long COVID symptoms are a failed detox attempt. So toxicity has not left your body, has been pulled through the COVID response, but then didn't leave the body. So only partially left the body. So now you are with a high level of toxicity on the surface, so to speak. And so your acidity level is high, right? So you need to make sure that you alkalize your body is key. And how do you alkalize? Fruit, juices, some bases, right? Like magnesium, like some calcium that allows the body to replenish the base level to kind of balance the pH. So we said calcium, we said magnesium, we said antioxidant. Now, vitamin C, it's good for your immune system, but in this case, we use it because it's an antioxidant. Melatonin, 8 milligram at night, it's important, is an antioxidant, not because you need to sleep. Obviously, good sleep is important, but we use the melatonin for the antioxidant property, not for as a, for ability to sleep. NAC, the B complex. So all the supplements that support detoxification. And as you see, as I mentioned, there's no antiviral there. And again, I'm telling you this because the traditional route is to instead go after the viruses because there's fear of the germ. There's, this culture that we find ourselves immersed in is completely unnatural. Okay, so again, if you chase the virus, you're chasing a messenger. You're not chasing the root cause. The root cause is your inability to eliminate. So start a detox process. Consider joining our Lymphatic Reset. There's a group starting now in October. Join the Lymphatic Reset. It will change your life. But most importantly, I don't just go for reversal of symptoms. I want to teach you why things are happening or not happening in your body so that once you own it, you can replicate this by yourself, with your kids, with your friends and family. And this information that has to go naturally, by word of mouth. It's not something that you're going to open a newspaper, you're going to find this information, right? So there has to be each one of us able to be the proof. And again, I'm speaking about things that I've gone through myself on my own body, the body of my daughter, the body of my husband, and all of my clients that have done this with me during COVID and after COVID. I have many clients that have been dealing with long COVID, and for all of them, doesn't matter what the symptoms are, we go back to square one, which is back to detoxing and back to supporting detoxification and elimination. And once we do that, people gain their life back. So now I wrote, as I said, 54-page COVID manual, where I go in depth into what COVID is, the different phases of COVID, all the specific of supplements and herbs to take based on the different phases, how to use homeopathy for prevention and for symptoms, how to use herbs for support on a preventative and prophylactic way, right? So, and I give you dosages and I give you the list of things to do. Lifestyle habits, like sun is needed, you guys. For COVID, for long COVID, you need the sun every day. I was just talking this morning with someone from New York, and she's like, well, the fall is already here. I barely see the sun. So you have to make an effort daily. And even if you stay at home, if you find a window through which the rays come in, just open your skin to the sun. Put yourself at the windows for 15-20 minutes with as much naked skin as you can and get the sun rays, because sun is healing. Then we have light therapy that I discussed in my manual. I give you some like a cytokine candy, for instance, that you can use for long COVID. I give you different kind of combination of supplements that you can take to address specific phases, right? So again, understanding this, it's understanding the strategy that we need to take to overcome COVID and long COVID. If I didn't make this distinction, if I didn't start to kind of wire in your brain the fact that COVID and long COVID is a failed detox attempt and that COVID is a detox attempt, what you feel at least from COVID is a detox attempt, then we will not be able to justify the things that I'm telling you, the things that you will find in the manual if you decide to take a look at the manual. So all the B complex, all the antioxidant, the NAC, the glutathione, the CoQ10. But I also in my manual discuss the DMSO, the DMSA, the methylene blue, and different type of herbs that can help you prevent COVID, and so from a prophylactic perspective, and also can help you get out of, you know, your body stuck in a gear with long COVID. As I said, imagine the wheel in the snow spinning and going nowhere. That's what your body's doing if you're still experiencing long COVID. And is it long COVID even after 3 or 4 months that I was actually fine after COVID? Is it still long COVID? Absolutely. But again, not because it's COVID, is because it's what COVID has elicited in your body. So I would say consider joining a lymphatic reset. It's a 6 weeks, but it can be life-changing, the information that you get. And whether you're going through long COVID or not, even if you're not going through long COVID, as I said, chances are you're going to find this virus again. Whether you've already been infected once or twice, you will find it again. So that encounter, the outcome of that encounter is directly related to the way the virus finds you. So if your elimination pathways are open, you're going to go through COVID like a breeze. And that is the difference between a lot of people that get COVID and they don't even notice that they get COVID and they are, you know, bedridden. So it's not to do, the virus is the same for everybody, you guys. So what changes, it cannot be the virus, it's us. It's the terrain. So our effort is to work on making this terrain an unhospitable environment for COVID, not because you don't want COVID to come in. You want it to come in. You just want the virus not to overpower your immune response. You want to come in because you want to learn from it. That's how our immune system gets stronger. It's not to lock yourself in a room like a lot of practitioners may be hinting at the end of the day. It's to be afraid of everything. Wear gloves, wear a mask, just, you know, sanitize, go away, don't be in contact. That is the worst that you can do. The more you hyper sanitize your life, the more susceptible you're going to become. Why? Because you don't exercise your immune system. So you want the COVID. You want to meet the pathogens. You just want to be clean enough to where your immune system has the apprehension over it so that it can learn like a computer in that encounter and become stronger because of it. Does it make sense? So in this way, you don't have to fear COVID, you don't have to fear long COVID, and if you are dealing with it, just know that there's a way out of it, and the way out of it is detoxing. Hope this was an interesting conversation for you guys. If you have any questions, post them below, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that you can be notified when the next video will drop. See you next week.